Today we're going to be typing a business letter. So the first thing you want to do is set up your formatting correctly. You want to click on Layout and check your margins. For a business letter, you're normally going to set it at the default settings of 1 inch on each side. If you're using 2016, that probably is the default, but check and make sure that is correct. The first thing you type with a business letter is the date. If you start typing the date, as you type it, you will notice a box appears on your computer. This is called autocomplete. It is anticipating what you are typing, and if that is correct, you can just press the enter key at that point. So I'm typing today's date, so I'm going to press enter and use the autocomplete. If you are trying to type something different and you do not want the autocomplete, you just keep typing what you want and the autocomplete will go away. Now after the date, you're going to press the enter key 2 times. You'll notice that there's this 1 inch margin up here. But normally, for a business letter, a business will have what's called a letterhead. And this is stationery that it uses for its letters. And the letterhead consists of the company name, address, contact information like phone numbers, fax numbers, websites, emails, things like that. And that's generally in the top 2 inches. So you would want to move your letter down a bit so that you can leave room for when you print this letter to have room for the letterhead. Now you can do this one of 2 ways. You can either set your margins or you can press the enter key to move it down. I'm going to go ahead and change the margins. So my top margin is going to be 2 inches instead of the 1. But as I said, you can leave your margins at a 1 inch top margin and then just press the enter key to move it down. So here I'm moving it 2 inches. And you can see that if you would just press the enter key, usually 3 or 4 times to get it moved down to about the 2 inch mark on your paper, use your ruler. This is the appropriate space that should be at the top of a letter, again, to leave room for what would be a letterhead information. Now let's talk about spacing. If you click on your Home tab and go to your paragraph group, on the second row of commands here, in the middle, you will find line and paragraph spacing. So paragraph spacing is how much space is there above and below where you press the enter key. That's called a paragraph mark. And if you want to see where your paragraph marks are, you're going to come here to the paragraph group and click on paragraph mark. When you turn this on, this symbol here, which looks like a backwards P, is a paragraph mark, and it indicates where you pressed the enter key. And you can see above and below this paragraph mark is space. How much space is dependent on what you have it set to. Again, we can check the default by going to Layout. And here it indicates to us what is the paragraph space. And here it's showing us that the setting right now is 0 before and 8 points after. So every time we press the enter key, we're going to have a little bit of extra space there. And this is important to keep in mind, and I'll show you later how to take that space off. So when you're typing a letter, first is the date, then comes the address of the person or company that you are sending your letter to. Again, your address or the company that is sending the address would probably be in this letterhead or this top section. So I will type, this is the company name, I'm not typing real information, their address, city, state, and a zip code. This is the proper format of how an address looks. This is the same as how it would look on an envelope. And this is called, these 3 lines are called the address block. It may contain a fourth line with something like a suite number or an apartment number, things like that. But generally, this is the format. And again, after this, you're going to press enter. Then you're going to type the greeting line. Now, when you are typing a business letter, in this case, we are typing what's called a block style letter. And a block style letter means that everything is on the left margin and nothing is indented, including the paragraphs. You do not indent anything. So after your greeting line, you're going to press the enter key. Now, in this case, we're writing the letter to Dear Mr. Smith. But if you do not know the name of the person you're writing to, you would use something generic like Dear Sir or Madam, or to whom it may concern. Do never want to put Dear and then the name of the company, because we don't write letters to a company. We write letters to human beings. So again, write it to the name of a person or use a generic one like Dear Sir or Madam. After your greeting line, again, you're going to stay on the left margin and you're going to type the body of your paragraph. For time's sake, not typing real words, as you can see. And you type your paragraph. And you get to the end of the line, you don't press enter, you just keep typing. Whatever it is that you want to say, and you let the computer wrap from one line to the next line. This is called word wrap. When you get to the end of your entire paragraph, that is when you press the enter key. Again, you'll notice that there's a bit of space in between. If I had another paragraph that I was typing, there would be some space in between. Okay. After you finish typing the last paragraph, make sure you put a period in there, you're going to put your closing statement, which is usually something like sincerely, sincerely yours, cordially, something like that. If this is a business letter, you want it to sound professional. So don't use anything casual like love and kisses or something like that. Then you want to press enter 2 times at least, or 3 times depending on how much space you want. I'm going to scroll a little bit. Then you're going to put the name of the person who is typing this letter. I'm sorry, you're going to put the name of the person that the letter is from. Underneath that, you're going to put their job title. Now, if I press enter, you'll notice that I have all of this space here. And I do not want to have all of that space between the name and the job title. So I'm going to press backspace. And instead of pressing enter and putting in a regular paragraph break, again, remember, each time I press enter, where you see that symbol, that's called a paragraph break. I'm going to override the paragraph break, and I'm going to put in what's called a line break. And to do this, I'm going to hold down the shift key and then press enter. So you'll notice that now I am directly underneath the name of the person, and instead of having the paragraph symbol, I have an arrow. That indicates what's called a line break. So it does not have that extra space. So then you would type the job title of the person sending the letter. So this would be Sally's job title. Then you press enter. Now, sometimes if you are typing a letter for someone else, you would put your initials there. That's called the typist initials. So that tells the reader who actually typed the letter. But if you are the person sending the letter and you typed the letter, you don't put initials. The initials are always in lowercase, so you want to be careful because Word will do that and it will automatically try to capitalize it. So again, you'll need to go and correct that auto-correction there that it does. And then if and only if you happen to have something included with your letter, you're going to put the word enclosure. It's not automatic that you need to have enclosure, only if something is included with the letter in the envelope. Again, tells the reader that there was something else included. So So you do want to be mindful of when to have these paragraph breaks and how much space that there is. Now back up at the top, when we type the address block, it put in this extra space here. But we do not want to have in our address block this extra empty space in between. So after I type the letter, I'm going to come back up here and select those 3 lines only. Be careful not to select anything else. And I'm going to go to my paragraph group and I'm going to change the line spacing. Line spacing is a little different than paragraph spacing. Remember, paragraph spacing is how much space there is between where you press the enter key. Line spacing is how much blank space is in between a line. So like where we typed the body, we didn't press the enter key, but there is still space in between those 2 lines. You can see a little bit there. So we're going to change the line spacing. So when I click here, you'll see that there's some preset numbers. If these are not numbers that you want to use, you can go to line space options, and then you can see the line spacing set here. And currently it is at 1.08. That is the default for Microsoft Word. But we're going to put it on what's called single. Single is also represented by the number 1.0 is single spacing. Later on you will learn other times where you're going to do things like double space or 2.0. But for a letter, we generally set everything to single spacing. So I'm going to put single and then OK. Now you'll notice it still had a little space in between because I also need to remove the space in between the paragraphs. So you can see here I'm on single space 1.0, and I also need to click here where it says remove space after paragraph. Okay, now you can see that this is all moved together with no empty space. The only problem is right here after the zip code and then the grading line, those should not be together like that, so I'm going to have to put another paragraph break in there. So this is the proper format for a business block style letter. The date, you want to have 2 enters after the date. The address block, and again single space, no spacing in between. A blank line, then the greeting line, again then a blank space underneath that. Your body with blank lines only between the paragraphs. Then your closing, and then again 2 enters. And the reason we have 2 enters after sincerely before the person's name is because you would print this letter and then the person would sign their name above where it is typed. So you want to make sure you leave enough space there that they can sign their name. The person who the letter is from, a line break, which is again, you get that by pressing the shift key and then enter key. Their job title. If you are typing the letter for someone else, you would put your initials as the typist, and if needed, enclosure at the bottom. And that is a block style business letter.